Spoilers! Do not watch this if you haven't watched Werewolf by Night. Go watch Werewolf by Night, then come back and watch this. What are you doing? Spoilers! Ah! Okay, so I've just woken up and we've sat down and I've watched Werewolf by Night. Marvel's little horror special presentation they've done, obviously for Halloween. And all I can say about it is it's... Hang on. Saying what's that? It's not right. I know, it's not right, is it? All right. What should we do to make it better? Any ideas? That's much better. So Werewolf by Night is Marvel's little Halloween treat. It's a special presentation they've done based on a comic they did a few years ago. It's kind of an under the radar comic, not as big as like your Hulks and your Captain Americas, but it was popular at the time. So the one thing I first noticed about this film is the look of it. It's that black and white. It looks very much like the old Universal monster movies. It's a real tribute to that. I don't know if anyone else noticed, but in the corner up there, just about where my finger is, they kept showing these, every so often they show these little sort of oval shaped white marks that would flash up. That was used back in the day for the projectionist to know when to change reels, because these films used to come up, all the old classic films used to come up 3 or 4 reels of film, and the projectors had to switch it over so the film continued running and like people wouldn't notice the film had stopped. So those little marks were for the projectionist to know when to switch the reels, and I thought it was good they added that. It kind of had that feel to it. It was really cool. So the story is basically a group of monster hunters go to a mansion to try and get hold of the Bloodstone. The Bloodstone is like a birthright of the Bloodstone family, but it's like a monster hunting like thing, and it's like it's a very powerful stone. Kind of, I'm not sure if it's like an infinity stone or if we're going to find it's like that sort of thing, but it's definitely a very powerful stone. So we find out that the daughter, Elsa, has been sort of excommunicated from the family. And this has kind of like set off all the monster hunters to try and fight for this stone. Obviously the stepmom is sort of the wicked stepmom in the piece. She's trying to sort of get this battle underway, and she doesn't want the daughter to get it, but the daughter's been invited back to try and reclaim her birthright and join this hunt. This hunt turns out to be like a Hunger Games, where all the weapons are placed all around the garden where they're hunting this monster, which we find out who the monster is later. So we're trying to hunt this monster. Now, some of the standout hunters, all the hunters have like a certain character, which is good. So you have the big butch, like who starts off really friendly, but it's really butch, mean one. You've got the sort of creepy looking ones and sort of more like martial arty looking ones, all that sort of thing. So it's all the classic tropes are there. So then we sort of meet Elsa, and she seems like she doesn't really want to be there, but she's there because she wants that birthright. And then we meet Jack, who doesn't kind of fit in with the rest of the hunters. He's very sort of nervousy looking, and you find out that he's killed like over 100 monsters, and he's like really impressive, but he doesn't seem the type. So anyway, so as when the hunt sort of, you get this really weird, actually no, we get this really weird part where they sort of like, it's almost like they've sort of animated the corpse, but not like in a spiritual sense. They've literally like just put like wires in it and made this corpse of the dead like Bloodstone guy who's like died, so this stone can be passed on. I can't remember his name. But anyway, so he then becomes this weird animated corpse and tells them like they have to hunt for the stone. Whoever gets the stone gets the right to have it and all that sort of stuff. It's a really bizarre bit. I didn't really get why they put that in there. So anyway, so the hunt begins, and the hunters sort of turn on each other, because obviously if you take out your competition, then you're more chance of winning. So we do know that the stone has been attached to the monster that's in the garden. So as the thing goes on, we then find out that our little Jack guy, the nurse guy, isn't actually there. He has an ulterior motive to be there. He's not there to hunt. He's there to save the monster. The monster's his friend. His monster's his friend called Ted, who, as we find out, is Man-Thing. And oh my God, I almost blew my mind. Man-Thing in anything I never thought would happen. It's so similar to Swamp Thing, is obviously a more popular character, but they put Man-Thing in it and they nailed the Man-Thing look. It looked, Man-Thing from the comic was on that screen. And he's a gentle soul, and they showed the gentle soul side of it, and I thought that was really important to the story. So we meet Man-Thing, and then we find out Jack's going to try and save Man-Thing from this thing. You see he's got this amulet on his back, these bloodstone on his back that's sort of stuck to him, and that's what's sort of draining him of his power. So Man-Thing himself isn't as strong as he normally is, so the hunt's kind of got an easy ride when it comes to him. So Jack's basically going to try and blow up a wall to get him out. So during all the skirmishes, all the fighters, Elsa gets injured. Jack then stumbles upon Elsa in a what would they call it? Like a place where you store dead bodies, sarcophagus thing. He stumbles across her in here, helps her out, and then she helps him escape the coffin. And they come up with like a plan to crypt. That's the word, crypt. They're in the crypt, and they come up with this plan to escape and how they're going to sort of blow up the wall, and she's going to help him escape as long as she gets the bloodstone. And the plan works. So they get there, they blow up the wall. Man thing sort of escapes. As he's escaping, she grabs the bloodstone off him. It's all good. Or she sort of pulls it off of the thing, and the bloodstone lands on the floor. Then we get the big twist. So Jack goes to pick up the bloodstone, and it repels him, like knocks him flying. To which everyone there suddenly realises that Jack himself is a monster, because obviously the bloodstone's obviously anti-monster. Which starts off the sort of like, okay, they believe that Elsa's conspired with him. They then imprison her with Jack. Now, this is where you start to get the nods of what Jack is, which is very cleverly done. There's a part in it where he starts to do this with his ear. And I was like, that's a dog scratching. And then you sort of think, oh, Jack's a werewolf. And then you realise that he's now imprisoned in a cage with her. And he starts talking about how he doesn't say he's a werewolf at any point, but he starts talking about what type of monster he is and how he's not always a monster. It's only at full moons these are monsters. So again, we know he's a werewolf, it's a full moon. And then that's when like Elsa reveals, no, the bloodstone can make you transform at will, basically can happen now. And then the fear in Jack, he suddenly realised he's going to transform, he's going to tear this girl apart, and all hell's going to break loose. He knows how powerful he is as the wolf. So he starts to like scent mark on her. He starts rubbing himself on her, smelling her, trying to get familiar with her, because he's thinking this is the only way the wolf isn't going to go for her. So then our baddies turn up. Evil wicked stepmother's back with her amulet, and she decides to turn Jack into the wolf. And she does this, and the transformation sequence is brilliant. They do that classic where you sort of see the hand go, but then it shows her cowering in the corner of this cage, obviously seeing this transformation as making her terrified as Jack's churning, and you see the silhouette on the wall flashing in the sort of lightning in the sort of strobe effect, and it's like an animation of him turning from like man to wolf, and that was fantastic. I loved every second of that transformation. I honestly did. I thought it was phenomenal. So now Jack is the wolf, and the baddies are sort of like, one of the evil sort of stepmother woman is too close to the cage, and she gets grabbed, and also the guards start zapping Jack with their zappers. And obviously, I guess it's the burning fur that makes all the smoke appear in the cage. And you can't see the wolf or Jack anymore. And you can sort of see Elsa looking terrified. And suddenly they look up and the cage has been ripped open at the top. And Jack has escaped in his wolf form. And then we don't see, sort of Jack sort of disappears and all the guards are looking. It's like real sort of like tense moment where they're trying to find him. Where has Jack gone? Where the hell is he? And then suddenly you sort of see him, but you don't see him from the sort of upper right corner. And he comes bursting down. And he like kills people, and this is where it gets really sad for a Marvel movie. And we always saw a little bit of like violence, but this is where it gets ultra violent because you see blood splattering and it hits the camera, and Jack basically massacres all of these guards in this room. Elsa then escapes too, and she helps fight off some of the hunters, like sword fights and battles and things with some of the hunters, to try and help, like basically help herself, and she's just trying to get herself out, and in the process sort of helping Jack as well. And I said the violence in this was definitely next level for Marvel. This is definitely like them going a bit more violent, a bit more thingy. But I think with the addedness of the black and white, you don't see the red in the blood. I remember there's something where if you don't see red blood, it doesn't count to the sensors of the violence. And I think it sort of desensitizes you. If you don't see the real colour of blood, it doesn't look as bad. That's the only way I can describe it. So it's not that bad. Sorry about that. Phone call, random. Always happens. So yeah, where was I? So big battle, blood everywhere, gore fest, and it was brilliant. And so then we get to the part where Jack slaughtered all the baddies, Elsa's taking out the hunters, and then we get the evil stepmom with a bloodstone decides to shoot and like starts attacking Jack. Then our heroine, I suppose you could call her, Elsa, then like helps Jack out, gets it off her. And then she's got the stone, puts the stone in her pocket and tries to calm Jack down. And we get the American Wolf in London ending almost, where Jack then like turns on Elsa, but because he's done the scent marking thing earlier on in the cage, he kind of he does that thing, which obviously worked, whatever he wanted to do, because the wolf remembers her and then doesn't attack her, and the wolf just legs it and leaves. And then we get the big sort of like villain coming back, where the old woman, she's stepped back up again and she's like ready to kill Elsa, and then suddenly Man-Thing from nowhere drops down through the ceiling and just burns this woman alive, just like incinerates her using his powers. And that was pretty graphic, and it was really good as well, real good scene. And then like Elsa says to him, look, he's gone that way. Man-Thing's like, oh, cheers, and just walks off. And it was quite funny. Then Elsa sits down, and the bloody butler, the sneaky butler from the beginning, he comes up and he's like, I just want to let you know that I'm here to serve you. And it's just like proper Crawley. And she's just like, okay, just clean up this mess. So now she obviously runs the manor. She's got the bloodstone. Everything for her has become what she wanted to happen. And that was a good ending for her. And with that moment, we get the sort of colour starts to come back. And then somewhere over the rainbow plays. And it's a throwback to the Wizard of Oz, because the colour's coming back and suddenly you can see this like welding colour for the first time. Like she's wearing the red jacket and like, and it's really cool. And then you sort of like get her sitting there, she's satisfied, she's done the thing she wanted to do. She's got that amulet, or the bloodstone, sorry. She's got the bloodstone. I wonder if they're going to link this to Infinity Stones. I don't think they really can. But yeah, they've got the bloodstone. It would have been good if they did, because that could have worked. And she's like, yeah, I've done it. I've done my thing. She's sitting down, calm down. The sneaky little butler's like, oh, I just want to let you know that I'm here for you now, instead of for the evil woman. And I thought that was quite funny, little nod at the end. She's like, yeah, just clean up all the mess. And then we flash to the woods, and you've got the werewolf now, who's transformed back into Jack. And he's there, and he's all like, all shivery. He's very much like when Banner comes back from being the Hulk. He's all like shivery and cold. He's got like the coat on him. And Man-Thing's there, oh bless it, Man-Thing's there, and he's made him like a cup of coffee, and he's playing patience while he's waiting for him to wake up from his transformation. And it's so sweet. And they have this little tender moment where they sort of sit next to each other, and then it ends. And it was a nice heartwarming end to it. And I was like, I wanted it to be longer. It's one of those things where it ends, I was like, I didn't want it to end. It was so good, so good. I did not want this to end. And I'm hoping they do more with this. I'd like a TV series or another movie. But I'd really like a TV series, because I think the idea of a TV series is with him going either saving or trying to stop other monsters would be fantastic. Especially if they keep within that darkness, that dark world. I think that would be phenomenal, and I really do believe that this could be this is the best thing Marvel have done, probably since like Spider-Man No Way Home. It's probably the best thing since No Way Home. So fingers crossed that they will make more like this. I like the dark Marvel stuff. I mean, DC's famous for its dark stuff, but Marvel has done it as well. I mean, they did the Universal Monster comics. I remember the Dracula comics, the Frankenstein comics and stuff like that. So I'm hoping they do more of those. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little review. Sorry about my kids being a bit noisy in the background and stuff. And there we go. Come on then. Look, we can see you in colour again. And thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the show. If you haven't, I hope I haven't spoiled too much for you. I should have done a spoilers thing at the beginning. But I probably will. Anyway, catch you later. Enjoy yourselves.
Bye.
And Marvel's Halloween treat. Yeah, was it good?
Bye.
Bye. Say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. No, let me push the button.